Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and if we stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As far as comments, oh wait, I got ahead of myself. Public input.
Taking a vow of silence.
A vow of silence, okay. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to chairman's comments. I did pass out a graph when we get down into the agenda. We're talking about tax rate. Helen was good enough to whip that up for me. I really appreciate that because pie charts are not my friend. And there are a couple of other things we'll talk about in the section under correspondence, but at this time, let's call Gina to the table. We'll start with Parks and Rec, number 4520, please. What exciting news do you have for us this year, Gina?
I don't know.
You did repairs last year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we did. To the docks, the sections of the docks.
Okay, so that's why that's down considerably. Now, I was going to ask about lifeguards, equipment, and training, the bump that I see there.
Oh,
Number
okay.
16.
That was done at the selectmen's request for, we have an issue finding lifeguards because the training is considerably expensive for a kid. It's like $350, $400 just to get their certification. It's only good for 2 years. And then if they want to be a swim instructor also, it's like another $250. We have talked, so it's an issue finding kids who are willing to do that and then only work 5 to 6 hours more days a week. So we have been in contact with Kim Sentinel, who offered to help us with the training, but it was thought that maybe if we just had extra money there, if we had an issue finding people, we could just outright pay for the training.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Gina?
Gina, when I look at the line item of the town of Wolfboro, does Wolfboro give you any indication as a line item what we are costing the town of Wolfboro for participation in Little League, use of Abenaki, so on and so forth?
They do not, and we've been talking about this in our meetings about requesting that information from them.
I have to believe that this is the biggest bargain the town of Tuftonboro has. And as looking at that line item for the cost of participation, just to see,
Right.
going back, when my children participated and my grandchildren participated and so on and so forth, to see what they offer and what we can take advantage of. I just want to make sure that, that someday their budget committee doesn't come and say, no, wait a second, why are we doing all this for Tuftonboro?
Well, they did. I mean, this went up a couple of years ago from 15,000 to.
I can remember it was 5,000.
This 16,661 is supposedly price per resident.
Mm-hmm.
Per capita or whatever. Tuftonboro, it's considering everybody in Tuftonboro would use some part of Wolfboro Parks and Rec, which is not true. But I think for our kids or adults to use the programs that Wolfboro offers that we don't at resident rate, it's because there's quite a difference between a resident rate and a non-resident rate to participate in the program. So I do think it's a good idea. I just, like you said, I'm not sure.
I think in future conversations it might be interesting for you to find out. I don't think that the town of Wolfboro would pull a rug out from underneath us. But you never know. It'd just be nice to know down the road.
Does anyone else?
On recreational areas, we've only expended $271 so far. Is this just because of timing?
Yeah. Essentially, we've had an issue with the weather. We've had the pavilion painted, abstained, but they're still working on it. Because they were going to do it the last 2 weeks of October and got rained out. So we're still waiting for a bill from that, about $27.50. And that will overspend the beach and dock maintenance, which is where most of the money, and then the rest would be recreational areas.
Are you going to include the straightening of the flagpole with the pavilion for the coming year?
We've tried to straighten that. The wind is an issue down there with that. But yeah.
Anyone else? May I have a motion on June's budget, please?
I would move the adoption of Parks and Rec budget for $36,761.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a 7-0, Kara.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
You run a great show.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, now we have Susie. What have you got to share with us?
I have the list through the end of October. We may have something more recent. Tell me what you have for
As of
us.
October, yeah.
You have through the end of October?
Yeah. This is
Okay, so we have more expenditures since then.
okay.
Probably, what do you think, about $2,000
Roughly?
on maintenance and sexton.
Excuse me, I was gonna just add that, just so you guys know, Diane and I did run it last Friday, in case it was hugely different, so you folks would have it. And that maybe she's processing perhaps some bills, but it was
Okay.
literally like, a couple $100 or something, so we didn't bother replacing all the pages.
Okay,
So maybe a bill didn't hit her yet.
okay.
I think it was just a couple hundred, so we didn't run it. I could be wrong, but,
Should be a couple thousand.
okay.
So you may be missing the big bill.
So maybe we'll get another,
Right, we're requesting the same budget for next year as we have for 2017. We have had a crazy year. Our sexton budget line will probably come in well under what we budgeted, but we were without a sexton for an amount of time, and Guy volunteered
you're a good man,
his
guy.
services, and as a trustee, he's not eligible to be paid. So we benefited from that.
Mhm.
We still have fence replacement on our list out here, still hoping to have it done this
Okay.
year. Our sexton is a land surveyor. And because we have extra money in the maintenance line, he's putting together a survey plan for us. So we'll be able to track sales better and what's available and so forth.
Mhm.
And the office, Karen will actually have something that she can track what's available.
Mhm. Great.
So that's yet to come in. And then we have emergency tree work that's being done, which will be, I can't remember what he quoted, 1,500, maybe 2,000, for a large tree that is dangling above a cemetery.
Which cemetery is there?
It's the Morrill Cemetery on Federal Corner Road. And he's got to take down 2 trees in order to get the one that's hanging.
I noticed there were orange tags on the French
I think the State
cemetery.
Highway did that.
Oh, okay. Are they taking that? Are they saying those have to come out as well?
They do have to come out.
Because for a couple of years, we had work on the French cemetery on the budget, right?
Yes,
But it
and
hasn't
then we
been done.
got a quote to do that work, and it was over $40,000. Because there are so many trees in there that have, the roots are under the perimeter wall,
Oh,
and they're the cause of the wall collapsing. The top granite pieces are sliding off. The only way you can fix it is to get the trees out, rebuild the whole wall from the ground up. So,
Does that
getting at
disturb the
those trees
graves?
is, what?
Does it disturb the graves too, all those roots?
It does, it affects the stones. So the proposal we got would take all the trees out, grind the stumps down to ground level, and then rebuild the entire wall, and the gate's broken. So we have a donation that will cover that. And we're still working with the lawyer to get the whole process sorted out. But we're very lucky we got a donation to take care of that. So that will happen next year. It may not cost as much if the state is going to take some of the trees, but maybe we don't want the state to do that. You know, maybe I should talk with Mark up there.
Who's engineering that?
Is his name Mark York?
Matt.
Matt.
Does anybody else have any thoughts or questions? Or
Again, with the restorations and improvements, there's been no funds expended so far, but the 4,000 is going to be going out this year.
It should be. If he can't get the fence replacement done this year, we'll ask the selectmen to hold that money over for next year. It's been allocated. But yeah, the survey plan and the tree damage will take a good
Probably
chunk
take
of that.
Anybody else? May I have a motion to approve 4195, please, cemeteries?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
I believe, if I may, Madam Chairman,
Yes.
that abstaining would mean that I acquiesce to the will of the other members.
Yes.
Although I'm allowed to vote on this,
You are
I
allowed.
prefer to abstain in this case and just remove myself a little farther from it, if I may.
Certainly.
Thank you.
All right. So noted.
Okay, 6
Could you say the amount?
$19,000.
800.
Oh, excuse me, 800, I'm sorry, I wrote it wrong.
Thank you.
All right. Should be good.
Okay. Thank you, Sue. Library. We have one at the table, two at the table. Come on up. We'll pull up another chair, Christie. All right, who's going to start?
Well, this is one of those two hat nights.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to wear my other hat for just a moment here. There's nothing new and exciting really in the budget for this year. As you look through it, there are a couple things that I believe do need mentioning. If you go to our narrative and look at number 10 under maintenance, the last item of the final line is contingency for $500. We have never had a contingency fund at the library before. Of course, you know, the town is responsible for the outside of the building. We are responsible for the inside of the building. This year we've had a couple of things that come up, most notably a major water leak in the ceiling that we've had repaired, but it's still not totally repaired. We're waiting, still to file the tiles taken care of. And we don't budget for things like that. All right, and the thing, you know, we're now dealing with the old section of the building being 40 plus years old, and you know, things happen. So we would like as trustees just to have this as an anchored windward in the future. We're asking for $500. The loss that we've had this year is well in excess of $500, and we're going to do some scrambling towards the end of the year to make sure those bills get paid. That's number one. The second thing under equipment and furniture is we're asking this year to replace our current copier that we've had since 2007. The narrative explains everything that I can explain to you, but I will, for the benefit of the camera, I'll say that the model we have has been discontinued, replacement parts aren't available, and copier functions are increasingly unreliable. Jams, not copying, so on and so forth. It's heavily used by the public as well as the staff. We're asking for approximately $1,300 from the town. We have a Friends of the Library pledge of $1,000, and then we have another individual step forward with an anonymous pledge for another $1,000 to help cover the $3,300 cost. And that, and the only things that are notable, and the only other changes, of course, are the line item changes for salaries, which are following the guidelines set forward by the Selectmen.
I have a question on the first page. It says library budget, and then in parentheses, $16,555 from, and then it cut off. But I also thought that maybe what you were anticipating was $18,450 in revenue. So I was wondering what the $16,555 was.
On the first page,
Your sheet.
On the first page, thank you.
It's like it's the name of the account, maybe just as worded from previous years.
I don't know.
Do you have it for me?
Yeah, that makes
Karen,
sense.
do you know what it
I
is?
don't, but that makes sense, like John said. I'll let can ask Diane tomorrow.
Probably just rolled forward as the account.
yeah, I don't know, 1655 FRM.
From, it seems like it'd be revenue, but
Oh, maybe that's what we had for last year.
From revenue.
Anticipated revenue.
Yeah, that would have been anticipated revenue.
That increase.
so that was in the past.
Yeah.
But this year, you based everything on your
Yeah,
18,000.
$16,555, that was our anticipated revenue for this year.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
That was our anticipated revenue for 2017.
Oh, okay.
16,555.
Gifts.
Mhm.
If you look at the chart, 18,450 for 2018.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's 18.
So the gifts are people giving money, is that?
In some cases, yes. Yeah. In some cases, it's revenue from our copy machine or printers.
You have just one copy machine, correct? Is that the one that last year we
Try to rebuild.
tried to
as much as we
rebuild?
could.
Yeah.
We kept it going for a year.
So without your anticipated revenue, your budget is up 5% over last year. And without the salaries.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last year you said.
The library budget line, this line 680,
Mhm.
is up 5% over last year once you take out the revenue, anticipated revenue.
So it's $2,059.
Do I dare open up the septic tank uniforms? Is the town paying for that? Okay.
Town is.
Okay. I wanted to be sure of
And what's the progress on that? What's happening with it right now?
Well-
Have you gotten your plan?
The surveyors were there today.
Uh-huh.
I think they're putting the plan together and presenting it to the selectmen
that. I
at the
think
price.
that's pretty much in the
with an estimate.
selectmen's
And then it'll
report.
be a warrant article.
Okay. But the 200 a month comes out of, I mean, the town pays for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, for your while, I'm sure we're all at the table aware of it, but we're really doing drastic water conservation going on in the building right now. And we will continue to do so in order to keep that pumping level down, at least, no more than once a month. So,
Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts, Guy?
Yes, is the current role of the staff that's on the website up to date?
as far as names,
Yes.
I believe so,
Who do
yeah.
you think's missing or?
No one. Aye. Selectman Albee, did the selectmen vote unanimously on this budget to approve it?
I'd have to review the minutes, but I think it was unanimous.
Thank you.
But did you have a question on the staffing, or
No,
you happy to answer it?
I have everything I wanted to know.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Does anyone else have any thoughts or questions? May I have a motion to approve the library budget for 550, please, in the amount of...
Oh, can I just ask 1 second?
Oh.
Last thing, so the salary was based on what we agreed on last time, is that right? Or whatever percent?
It's up 3%, yeah.
The exact number,
Which is
okay.
Is it that we have one person that's capped out?
One person is capped out. Next year, I will also be capped out. The year after that, 2 more people will be capped out.
1.2.
That was
The
the,
COLA.
okay, yeah. I just wasn't sure if this get updated soon, okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Need a second? Did you have a?
Did I have a first?
Yeah.
I move that we approve Department 4550's budget in the amount of $212,000, $212,328.
May I have a second then? All in favor?
Aye.
We have 6-1, and Guy, your usual that you wanted personnel administration.
That and the selectman voted his wife a pay raise, yes.
My wife doesn't work at the library.
That's right.
I don't understand that
I'll just
comment.
remind
I
you
don't
that
understand it.
I'd have to check the minutes, Guy.
I watched the
I don't-
meeting,
I don't
but
remember the vote.
I
so-
was wanting to just verify that.
Excuse me,
I
was
get
the
your point
second?
now, thank you. I was
Oh,
trying to figure out
yeah.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to figure out where we're going on this.
Second,
Now I
John.
understand.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, was the second by John, is that correct, or Bob?
Second was Bob.
Okay, thank you.
6-1, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. And is the chief available?
Oh, thanks, John.
We're moving right along, we're a little early.
Or smaller enough.
Yeah, for less budget than that.
Thank you, Paul and Christie, happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Paul.
I was in the store at 6 o'clock.
I'm gonna-
I got a bunch of stuff going on. I walked out at 6 tonight, and I'm retired.
Already there.
I thought I was.
Police.
Oh, skipping it?
Pardon me? We're waiting to see
Oh,
if the chief is available. He was scheduled to come in at 7. But while we're waiting, we could take a look at the minutes Do you have any corrections? I didn't have anything.
Right up to the usual standards, very good.
Thank you. Bob, did you have something?
The only question I had, kind of raised the issue that, in the sense that we didn't need an ambulance contract, but we do have an ambulance contract.
Yeah, I think,
I
I read it,
guess
I
it's
think
just
I
a
said,
point
I
of
believe we
clarification.
didn't, that we shouldn't have one.
Oh,
That
okay.
might be that might be what it was. yeah,
Doesn't
going
see
forward.
the need for an ambulance contract. Does that read all right, Guy?
To me it does, but
Okay.
I just
if you want to clarify it some other way, that's fine by me.
Not a problem, I just,
Okay.
Yeah.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved. I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Second?
All in favor?
I,
All right.
I guess I have to abstain, I don't know.
So everybody and then John abstained, okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't here.
Written?
You should vote no.
that's right. You weren't with us.
Vote no.
I know, I was trying.
He's been summoned?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's see if there's anything else we can work through here quickly. Well, why don't I talk a little bit about the correspondence? And it's in correspondence because it was emailed to me, the tax rate being 1077, and as I mentioned, Helen was good enough to work up the chart for us, indicating that our town operating budget is really 25% of that, the largest portion going to the school.
counted.
Yep.
Where's last year's?
Pardon me?
So where's last year's?
Oh, yeah, where is last year?
Wasn't the previous rate 10.71?
No,
I
was
have it at
it?
my desk, I can look at it.
No,
I probably have it buried in here too.
What is the state education, Chip? I mean,
That's universities. and-
I
No,
figured that
no,
there's-
It's a breakdown that the state had to come up with some sort of basic education cost. And the Claremont decision.
Mhm.
And
We'll be talking about that a little bit.
it should be, or the long and the short of it is that we have to pay into a state education fund, and then the Governor Rutgers School District gets back. I think they get almost all of it.
16 and 15.
Oh, no.
No.
Not even close.
Because we have some towns that have less property value and more students, like Ossipee, for instance, or Effingham. So they're needy towns versus us, which are, we are a donor town, but they don't like to call it that.
But we are a donor town, not just within the school district, we are a donor town statewide. So for example, Amherst, New Hampshire, which is a lovely veteran community of Manchester, with a considerably higher per capita income than we have, is a receiving town. And I always want to make sure that people at Southegan High School, every time I see anybody, has to make sure the swimming pool is still clear, and their dance studio is up to snuff, they haven't had to recarpet or anything like that. But that was the Claremont decision that goes back years ago.
And it's when you base all of your educational costs on property tax, that's the long and the short of it, that's what happens. So Amherst probably has as much value as we have, but they have more students, so they end up being.
Oh, their property value is not even close to ours.
Isn't?
No.
No?
But
But at any rate, it's,
they're part of
when
the
everything's property value based, then Moultonborough, Tuftonborough, Waterville Valley, all those towns with significant property value that send money in.
Didn't one year the contribution, for instance, Claremont, it doesn't all go to education either. Didn't they buy a fire truck or something with some of the...
The money comes to them, and then they get to see how they want to spend
I
it.
spend the money.
Right.
Well, we're going to revisit this after we talk to the chief. We were just killing time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're right on time. We're just a little early. All right. What would you like to share with us, Chief?
Well, budget's up 3.3%. Mostly salaries, but there is some in new equipment. Everything else is pretty much,
What is the new speed sign that you,
it's going to be one that we can put on a post. So the trailer, sort of the trailer, but this will be a post one like Marcussen has, Center Harbor has. So it can be right on the speed sign post. I checked with Department of Transportation, make sure it complies with their standards, what they require. So it'll be one like that. Like, I don't know if you've seen the one in Marcussen or Center Harbor. It's about this big, and it just bolts on, it locks on, and it will do the same sort of thing, but it's, you just carry it, put it on.
so where do you anticipate using it?
It'd probably be down at the school zone and other places. You can put it right on any street sign, essentially.
And so it doesn't stay there permanently, you can move it around?
You can move it around, yep. You put a mount and you lock it on, and
this is merely a warning.
but it also tracks, it does data too.
It does data.
Yeah. And actually, you can download the data through, I think it's Bluetooth is how it downloads to the device. So.
Could you talk to us about the rifles that we're going to be
So the rifles,
replacing?
they're 17 years old now. What we're looking at doing
And how many are we getting for that?
4. Now that price is if we're getting new, and probably with some trade-in that would be a little bit cheaper. That'd be the right now the ones we have, they're night sights on them. The night sights are usually only last for 10 years, 10, 11 years. The half-life of tritium is, I think, 12. So obviously the night sights are no longer visible. So we're looking to update. Our rifles have they're called a A2 type carry handle molded into the or forged into the receiver. I'd like to get one we have one that's detachable. So we'd like to.
Are these the kind of rifles that just, I don't think they are, but the type of rifle that just anyone in the public could use, or are these specific to law enforcement?
They are essentially what anybody could buy.
223 caliber.
223, AR-15 type.
AR-15, yeah. No bump stocks.
No need for
No
more.
bumps, we don't need bumps.
Any rough idea of the round count to these?
For the wires?
Yeah, I know it would really be rough, being as old as they are.
Say 10,000. They're not burned out barrels or anything like that.
Are they chrome lined?
Yeah, they're chrome lined. They're full mil spec.
This is more personal interest because I'm a firearms nut. I'm sorry, I digressed.
I
got a little carried away on that
The
one.
ones we have, they're 3 of them are Bushmasters. One's a Colt. The Bushmasters and the Colt are mil spec. They're chrome lined barrels. Military chamber for 5.56 NATO as opposed to 223. There is a difference.
But it's what you need, is what you're...
I'd like to update those. Yes.
Any idea what the residual worth of what you have is?
No. I don't know exactly what they're going to be worth. Problem is, the ones we got are post-86 Title II receivers. So the receiver is basically worth nothing. I converted them to semi-automatic, so they're not technically fully automatic guns, but because they're registered as that, they're registered, the receiver is not worth a whole lot. The upper would be probably worth more than the receiver is, trading them in. I'd hope to get $400 or $500 a piece,
Okay,
trading them in.
I'll take some of this sting out of it.
We'll see, I mean, if I can, I'll trade in, we've got lights on them, light fore ends, see what the whole package is
Out of
traded in.
curiosity, you do that through the dealer, you don't do that as like a residual auction? Like
We've been-
getting rid of a shelf?
Typically,
at the
when we've
fire
done it, we've
station?
done it through the dealer, and we usually get more than one price,
Mhm.
so it kind of gives us that idea as to, and that's what happened before when we upgraded our pistols. We got prices with the trade through several dealers, and then it's kind of funny because the pistol is basically one price that's set by the company, but the difference is in the trade-in value of what different dealers gave us. So one dealer gave us more in the trade-in, so it was cheaper to go with that one, so that's.
Okay.
And obviously, I hope it comes out a lot less than that, than the 4,400, but.
You're gonna stay with semi-auto?
Yeah.
Okay. Computer and server,
Yes.
what are we looking at?
So we've been advised by our IT guy to upgrade our server. It's old and slow. That's going to be about $3,000 for it. My computer also is old and slow. It needs to be updated. That's about another $1,000. Plus I included some because we have to do some work with IMC. Originally, it was going to be $19,000 to transfer our data on IMC up to the sheriff's office. But in talking with IMC, they said, here's a cheaper way, just like put it on an old computer. Don't transfer it up to the sheriff's office. So kind of what we're doing now, but we have to run the server to do that. It'll be on a computer that's not going to be our main server. So we've been advised to upgrade the server, and that'd be like $3,000. I figured this, I know we have to do IMC and we got a few other things, so it'd be about $5,000 for both those computers. It'll leave, yeah, mine's the oldest desktop computer. The others are a year or two newer, and then Vicky's got replaced this year,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Are we still gonna keep the trailer speed sign?
Yep, it's just,
What's your favorite, isn't it?
the thing with the trailer is it's, you gotta be careful where you set it up. It's, obviously you have to have a solid place to put it, and you also make sure you're not blocking the view from somebody's driveway, and I don't like leaving it someplace where it's not near somebody's house though. So we did have one incident up on Federal Corner Road? No, Ledge Hill Road. It was up on Ledge Hill Road, just before Dame, in that corner in there, and somebody was throwing, I think it was there that somebody hit it with some zucchini. So it bent it a little bit, plexiglass or Lexan. But anyway, the point is, so I like, yeah, the zucchini. I found smashed zucchini.
Well, I knew they'd find a use for that vegetable
Yes.
eventually.
Gonna do
so-
something with
Yeah,
it.
we both do.
So anyway, that's like, so I like it by a house, but I also don't want to block any, but it's big, it blocks view, you don't set it up right, so. And it takes time to set it up. This other should be just a little thing, put it up and lock it on.
The small sign does equivalent to the trailer, or is?
Yeah, in fact, obviously the trailers, I forget how old the trailer is, but this is obviously newer, I mean, I just looked at different ones, and you can go anywhere from 2,600 up to almost 5,000 for these signs that go up like that. Because they can do, you can do it, they have them with cameras. I said, time out, we can't use cameras in New Hampshire, that's illegal. But they have all kinds of technology to them. There's some, the more expensive ones actually have cloud-based storage where they send it up and you can actually just go on your phone and get real-time updates as to what's been happening. But they also get you because you have to pay for that cloud-based storage. So. But this is just the one where I download it myself, and similar to what the trailer does, we just run it down. And it's smaller, we can put it right on a regular street sign.
What is the crime prevention line?
It's kind of, we do stuff like Halloween, we do, stuff we give out to the kids, stickers, pens, pencils.
Okay, so you're at 600 is your request.
Yeah,
And you so far have spent 184.
yeah. Yep.
Do you expect to use that all before the end of the year?
See, I haven't spent as much this year because we had leftover pencils and stuff,
Oh,
but we've pretty much gone through all those, so now I'll be ordering pencils and stickers. I'm all set for a while, the big roll of those, so, but I'll be buying pencils and pens again.
okay. And it was last year that you got dress uniforms, right?
Yep,
Okay.
What about the kid badges?
that's part of the crime prevention.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because Parks and Rec is gonna ask you.
Yeah, we got the stickers,
Okay, cool.
and I got,
No,
actually,
you take the pictures for the kids, and we're gonna do
the
the.
kits, and
Yeah.
actually, I got some of
Those
those, a
in-
bunch of those free, so.
Okay, cool.
Huh?
It's about the kids, right?
Yeah,
The selectmen have actually been counseling the chief to do a little more community police.
So we
policing,
would-
so his expenses
We're gonna ask for
can
that
go
next
up.
year, so.
we got the, so one of the things that we did have before were Rough McGruff, you put the picture of the kids and you can put samples of hair, DNA in there. Your parents keep that stuff and hand them to them to do. They were asked about those. We didn't have, I thought we had some, we didn't have any more, but now I've got a bunch more, so.
Well, I still have my 32-year-old daughter's fingerprints.
But we have, I got them free this time around, so they don't have our name on them, but we got them free, so we can give them out now again.
Then I know holiday pay is at the end of the year.
End of the year,
Okay.
coming up in a few weeks.
Does anybody else have any thoughts? You're doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I move that we accept the police department budget, number 4210, in the amount of $391,844.
Second?
Gordon second. All in favor? Okay, and that's 6-1. Anything besides the usual guy?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Happy Halloween. No, Halloween.
No, not
Halloween. It's my cold medicine. Okay, Jim. Good to see you. How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Thank you.
All right.
Unusual stuff. Pass around.
Have you got good stuff for us?
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, right?
Just keep going.
Oh, you did? Oh, no,
That's right. You got extra.
I thought this was...
All set? Thank you.
He's a farmer's almanac, gonna argue your first sentence, but that's the
You're right.
Can you tell us what's going to happen this year?
I wish somebody could.
Acorns are falling.
Yeah. Pine cones, I've never seen so many in my life.
Really?
You know, Jeff was saying that just this year.
I had big Rubbermaid go behind the tractor cart, 5, just pine cones.
That's amazing.
Okay. Now, I know you were cutting it kind of close earlier in the year, and it seems like you really turned things around. And I mean, because of the storm damage, wasn't there about $50,000?
Yeah, I estimate we spent a little bit more than $50,000 on all the damage this year from the storms and stuff. You know, as I was saying before, we had that winter storm still up. That really, you know, not only just plowing was bad, but cleaning up afterwards took over a month. It was quite a bit of cleanup. And then on June 17th, we had another bad storm where we had heavy, severe rainstorm come in. We actually had some roads wash out completely unpassable, several roads, and a lot of road edges
And
actually
what was
washed
the
out.
date on that one?
June 17th, I believe.
I'm already looking forward to public hearings, so I can just...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that again took a long time. I mean, a lot of roads were damaged, especially like Waubee and Eastwood Drive, Harvest Lane, and then just the usual dirt roads where they washed out on the edges and stuff. So therefore, we had to, cut back to make the rest of this year, to try and stay within budget. So we had to really cut back on roadside mowing. We didn't really do too much of that this year. We did minimum on crack sealing. We only did 1 day of catch basin cleaning this year instead of 2. And there's a lot of trees that need to be cut down that are dead along the side of the roads. They're standing. They're kind of a hazard. We do need to hire a bucket truck for that, and that's something I was hoping we have in the budget, but it's not looking good at the moment. As far as pruning the tree limbs on the sides of the road, open up sight lines, make sure we can see the signs and stuff like that. We didn't really do any of that this year. Our wood chipper actually started leaking the radiator, so that's going to need a new one by the looks of it. We're still in the process of getting a price on that. And we filled the sand and salt shed about halfway at the moment. It's not full. Again, playing it by ear to see how far our budget's going to go. I don't want to be at 0 before the end of the year.
Well, the storms, I was just thinking, the storms, yes, they're a financial hit, but time-wise, they must have been as well, for you to try to do all the other things plus the storm cleanup.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember the Channel 9 News talking about it last year. It was on the news how like the state went through the whole budget. Theirs goes from July to July, and they went through all their budget in like January.
Wow.
And it was the timing of the storms. They were just long, and they started, a lot of them started in the afternoon and went through to the next day, and just eats into the budget out there that long.
Historically, Tuftonborough's budgeted more realistically than the state of New Hampshire. So that's a really good example.
Although I read that great article about comparing Vermont to New Hampshire, and okay.
So last year we actually went into December thinking we were in pretty good shape, and then we just got hit so hard. And we're hoping not to have a repeat of that this year. So we've been trying to save some of the, a little bit more money ahead, so that we can get through December if we do get hit hard. That's why we had to cut back so much, but it would be nice if we had a little bit more in there, just as a safety net. If we don't have anything for storm damage, there's nothing in the line budget saying storm damage, so $50,000 had to come out of our budget somewhere.
Oh, go ahead.
Is there any innovation coming up with the salt and procedures in terms of using the salt versus the fluids? Is there anything in the future that looks like we could get some savings there?
There's definitely no savings. It's quite the opposite, actually.
The opposite.
Yeah, it's definitely more money. It's a lot more corrosive to the vehicles too, that I found. Yep, absolutely is. I've used it personally on other jobs that are called magic salt. Boy, you want to see it take paint off a truck in a hurry. It's
No longer available at the local emporium in Wolfboro, just for that reason.
yeah, extremely corrosive. There's a lot of chemicals they're using on the highways they think keeps it from sticking. But I don't think we're in that situation yet that we're going to even consider something like that. We're going to continue with what we're doing.
Yeah, but those need traffic in order to work, correct? I mean, if you want to spray the pre-salt product you're describing on a side road, well, that doesn't really do a lot of good from the library.
Well, there's mixed reviews. Sometimes it makes it slipperier in the beginning. It has the opposite effect. But it's just trying to keep it from adhering to the surface so that when you do plow it, it scrapes off clean is the whole point of it. But again, we're not even close to being set up for it. It's different equipment and a lot more money to get set up. But it's not probably in our future for a long time.
You're 87% spent on your budget. Where do you think you're gonna come in at your end? Are you current on your
I'm
bill?
hoping just under.
So you think that you, by year end, you'll have all your bills in and you'll probably come right at
I'm
where
hoping.
you are?
I'm hoping. It
Okay.
really has a lot to do with the weather.
But don't you usually like to have our supply of salt and sand in before the end, or can you push that till?
We have pushed it the last couple of years. We've been pushing it and having to restock as soon as the new year starts. So we're almost kind of starting a little bit tough. We did have it filled last year, to be honest with you. We had it
Yeah.
filled in December. It was ready to go. And we went through the whole building, you know, in December. We had to refill.
Is there an adequate supply being delivered, you know, for the state in salt?
Yeah, yeah.
Because one year they ran out, didn't they? And
They did, yeah, but that was near the end of the year, when the year went on a little bit longer than normal, and the state was having a tough time. I think they might have stepped up their supply after that, so we haven't had anything like that since, but.
Can you tell me about your highway equipment maintenance?
Sure. Basically, that's all the equipment that the town owns, but it does include like cutting edges and stuff like that when we're plowing. It includes the maintenance for the chipper, you know, anything to do with the town trucks, tires, and oil changes, that kind of stuff. Just general maintenance. The lights, we always seem to have problem with the lights going out, especially if they have a lot of lights on them, the town trucks. Mostly, you know, small lights that shine on the spinner or on the track or inside the bed or behind you. There's a lot of those lights. We do have.
I just was noticing there seemed to be quite a jump in that line.
Yes, we added 7,500, because when the selectmen met at the town shed to review the building itself, we noticed, you know, the truck body on the new truck was actually a used truck body. We got it for free. But we're starting to have rust problems. We have a few rust holes, and so we got a price to repair the holes and paint the bed. And that was for 7,500. And I think it does make sense to try and preserve that, see if we can get as much life as we can out of it. They're not cheap. I believe that's about a $25,000 to $30,000 bed that we got for free, so hopefully we can extend it out for another 10 years.
Well, I sure appreciate the breakdown of what you do for spring cleanup and summer and all of that. Is this a budget that you're comfortable with?
It is. You know, I did go up on several things. I went up on spring maintenance by $10,000. Last year we spent $31,731.50. It seems like we've been going over the budget on spring quite a bit, and I think that we need to move that number up so it's a more realistic number. There's a lot to do in the spring, and I think I just have under budgeted for too many years now.
And the same with fall?
Yeah. On fall, what I had in mind was we really didn't add any gravel to the dirt roads this year. And we really need to add gravel. That's not cheap. We need to, you know, gravel all the dirt roads. I'm estimating that's probably going to be about an extra $6,000 in just gravel. And also, I'd like to do a little bit more of the crack sealing. We did very little this year, and I'd like to step that up as well. We just did the bridges and a few of the roads. I think we'd like to do more of the roads that we can. We try to do our best roads first and work our way down to the roads that need the most work as last. You know, as far as summer, I'd move that up as well, because we have a lot of ditch lines that have been filled in from the debris from all the heavy rainstorms. And they need to be cleaned out and reshaped. You know, they're just pretty much on every road needs work at this point, and we'd like to try to get them back into shape. We were looking a little better before all the rains this year, so we're hoping to get that back into shape. Tree removal I went up only because we have a lot of dead trees and they all require a bucket truck, and that's the estimate that I have at this point to get the trees down that we're aware of. Road striping, I went up $200 because the price usually for road striping goes up about $200 a year. Catch basin cleaning usually goes up every year. This year, it did go up. I think it was probably, it went up, we only did half of it, and it was $1,550 for the one day. So it would have been $3,600, no, excuse me. It would be more anyways. I didn't have it budgeted correctly with the new pricing. So I expect that's going to go up another $200. It goes up about $200 a year is what I'm estimating, $100 a day. It goes up in price. The equipment maintenance we went over as far as the dump lighting.
And your fuel, you've got a chunk left there on fuel, but still asks for the same amount.
Yep, I know it's something that we don't have a lot of control if the prices ever go up on that, and we just have to be ready for it. I guess it's not something I want to gamble on. I feel like if there's a little extra money, it's not going to hurt anything. In the past, I've actually, it hasn't been as recently, but in 2009 was my first year, my first full year. We were $20,719 under budget. 2010, it was $934 in the budget. 2011, it was $11,000. So it doesn't, I don't waste it. It goes back into the kitty if we don't use it. But the last 5 years, I have been over. On 2012, it was $203 over. It was $1,500 over.
Okay.
Last year was $8,000 over. I'm trying to prevent that from happening again.
Well, it appears that the selectmen approved an amount that is about $15,000 less than what you asked for. Are you comfortable with that?
No, I'm not, but what they did say I could do was I could come back with more facts and figures for them to review, and they would gladly review it, and that's in my plans to go back and review it with them. I didn't have all the numbers with me that day, so I wasn't as prepared as I needed to be.
So you feel far more comfortable with the $461,000 that you requested?
I do. I feel like we're behind right now, and we need to get caught up. The roads are going to start showing that we're not keeping up with it quickly. So if we could, I'd like to get caught back up and have a little bit of a cushion so that we're not in the same position next year if we have a big storm. Especially when we have no budget, no line item budget for storm damage.
Question on that?
Yes.
If we had a larger contingency fund, could that be used for something like an emergency, like a storm?
It could be, but I'm wondering how you'd structure it. And who makes the call? The selectmen would make the call to take out a contingency fund.
Well,
the problem I have with contingency funds fundamentally is it causes inefficiency. The road agent budget should be a pretty efficient budget, and it shouldn't have a $50,000 cushion sitting someplace so we're not paying attention to expenses.
What I think of is that when emergency management basically has no hours in it for personnel, for example, and does not a lot of good in a storm like we had last winter as far as clearing roads and things goes. And Jim doesn't have a line item for disastrous storms or anything else. Right. So now we apply for a FEMA reimbursement if we get it, but that doesn't do us much good at the time. Just trying to think of a way to actually come up with a more modest budget, but yet have a way, in case a problem comes up, that we can indeed handle it. And other than contingency, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, and there would have to be a break at some point in time. Who makes the call as to when you start dipping in? Is it a normal snowstorm or is it a disastrous snowstorm?
Well, Chip, maybe
we increased the budget by $36,000.
Yes.
And my thinking there was that we needed to get back in line with where we were in 12, 13, 14. I don't know what happened in 15. I'm not aware of how that transpired, money moving around. but it looks like it's around $440,000 to run the highway department. We did give them increases in, obviously, the highway equipment maintenance. Also, spring and fall gave them what, the increase in tree removal of $2,500, $1,000 for roadside mowing. So I don't think we were too stingy in our increases, but I thought 8% overall was going to be enough. And Jim can obviously come back and try to beat us up for the rest of it. But given the historical figures, I didn't see how that could, you know, the 461,000 seemed like too much of a leap. We did move Jim's budget came in with a winter maintenance budget of 190,000. Just doing straight percentage calculations, I was coming up with 194, and that's what the selectmen finally agreed to do. Summer is down 4,000 from what he was asking, but winter's up 4,000. So I'm trying to come up with some balance as to what the actual expenses are versus, you know, what our budget has on it.
But I'm just wondering, given that we're behind on some things, I mean, if we weren't behind, I could follow that line of thinking, but given that we're behind on some work, should there be more in the budget is my question.
And there's $36,000 more.
No, I just am
That's where we
thinking
can
that
get on it.
I agree at looking at historically what is spent and having a straightforward way of adding to it, but we have to also depend on what our department heads have to say to us and what they might need. So I'm in a bit of a quandary here. What you guys...
We're supposed to make it easy for you, is that what it is?
Yes, make it easy for me.
Well, in the roadside mowing, for example, you didn't get to mow this year because you didn't have the money, you didn't have the time.
We didn't have the money.
Okay.
Well, you had the,
Well, we had to cut it from somewhere.
and you had a problem with the contract that was going to mow the roadsides.
Yeah, but they did give us a mower that was usable, but I was just at the point where I was frustrated with them, and I needed to save money, so I said, just take it back, you know, we'll do this.
Was it a mower?
It was a boom mower, but
Yeah.
it was a rotary head as opposed to the flail type that that we were asking for. They did bring us the flail mower the first time, it was nice. We mowed with it for the first day, and it worked great, shut it off, next day, go back, it would not start. They came up, looked at it, it was a brand new mower. We're all brand new, had less than 200 hours on it. They looked at it, they couldn't get it to start, so they had to pull it onto a trailer, drag it out of there. And then they showed up with a whole different mower for us that we didn't ask, you know, wasn't the right type for us. So we used it for 40 hours and maybe 36 hours. And at that point, I just said, it's not what we asked for, and we need to save the money, so I instructed them to bring it back.
In what areas, what numbers are you looking at going back to the Board of Selectmen with? Are you going to have a whole breakdown of I want to do these culverts and this and this? Or
Yeah, I am. I mean, I think I need to show them a little bit more detail. I didn't have really any detail for them at the day they were asking, but...
because we can always revisit as well. I mean, go with this and...
We don't necessarily have to vote at all, do we? Can we table this?
We could.
If Jim plans to go back to the selectmen?
We could do that, or we could vote on this one and revisit when
Either way.
we see the numbers.
You do plan to go back?
Yeah, I think in my eyes, it's important to have the correct amount of money to work with.
I think so too. But I just want, if you plan to go back, then I don't really want to vote on this tonight myself. I want to let you do your thing and come back with a number. The selectmen will agree. That's my personal opinion. That's all.
Do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, looks like we're gonna table your budget.
Okay.
Okay.
Because you don't get to
We'll
spend
look
that
forward
time on us.
to you coming back and talking with us, because we do want you to have what
I appreciate that.
is needed. Thank you. But we hate to push, but how soon can we have it done? Our next meeting, well, it's a little up in the air. Currently, we have one scheduled for the 28th of November, but for sure we have one on December 12th.
Okay, I think December 12th will probably best for me, then I could be ready to talk with you first, and then,
Okay.
We don't have a meeting next week, I think.
Mhm.
yeah, because I think my meeting is...
Okay, run it past the Board of Selectmen first.
That'd be, yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you, too.
Travis.
Thank you.
Now, I think those are all of our appointments. Let's go through executive next. Number 4130.
Who will be talking to this?
Chip will be talking to this.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Okay.
So I noticed that
Pretty-
there's a new clerical assistant?
Yeah, what we did was we took some money out of administrative overtime and put some money into clerical assistant. We have to accommodate for the public right to know. We have to take time out of our normal day's work to get some of that work done. So we needed to have a line item that would accommodate for that.
Okay.
The other part of that is, I'm a plane crash manager, or my theory is plane crashes. If you only have two people who know what's going on, then you don't have a lot of depth of bench. So that ultimately we need to have someone in the works who's starting to learn the trade of town government. So it's not a lot of time and not a lot of money, but it gives us an opportunity to bring in somebody
Some cross-training type
as
of.
a intern and cross-training.
So how many hours do you anticipate this being?
God.
Is this a
quiz.
person new to us that you're hiring,
Yeah,
or is
it's
it
just,
Leanne?
it's a, well, we haven't approached Leanne about it, and we need to discuss her role as an employee, I think. But I think what we were planning on was some sort of $12 an hour person or $13 an hour person over some amount of hours. I can do the math, I should have brought my notes on that.
That's okay, I can do it.
Would this person actually be doing redacting, or would she just be collecting information to be sent to
No,
whomever
just-
to redact?
I think it's just collecting the information, doing the groundwork.
Mhm. Okay.
And once again, we haven't hired anybody to do that, but I think it's becoming an expense, so we need to accommodate for it.
Mhm.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this budget?
I move that we approve the executive budget 4130 in the amount of $99,630.
Second.
Gordon, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay?
Nay from our person in the red here, guy. And the usual.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's look at revaluation of property, 4152, please. Our assessor.
Not a significant change. We have the assessing at $36,372, and then utility assessing at $10,000. The 2017 budget was $45,664, and we're at $46,372.
Is that Avatar?
What's that?
The assessing?
Lloyd, it is Avatar that does our assessing as a subcontractor.
That's the computer hardware and distributed.
A different line.
Pardon me?
That software is a different line.
Right.
This is the assessor himself.
This is
This is
the
the assessor himself.
We have a contract with this
That's right.
individual, is that correct?
So he's not an employee, he's a contractor?
Right.
I have a question. What sort of evidence do we get that they actually go out to the houses to actually assess? Because I know of some houses. I know of some
We're not
houses
going to go
that.
out to every house and assess them. That's what we do when we do the evaluation. So this is, if you put a garage on your house, I'm sure they're going to show up at my house pretty soon. If you make a substantial change, you get a building permit, or there's some property exchange that happens, then they revisit that particular piece of property.
Okay. Because I know someone was building a house that they valued it as a completed 3-bedroom, 2-bath. He doesn't even have plumbing in his house. So I was just curious how they assess someone like that. I think maybe
We
sometimes.
can have them come in and we can all chat about it.
Yeah. Well, just curious. I mean, we're paying him, so.
Yeah.
He does take appointments. He comes in twice a month, and I make an appointment times for him.
Yeah,
and things.
occupancy permit on the house?
So they can meet with him.
And it's gated, so he actually called the assessor, and it was they couldn't get down there. So that's how they valued it, that they couldn't get to his house. They valued it as completed.
So this is a special circumstance.
Yeah, but I was just curious. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd never heard of such a thing.
Well,
So I was just curious.
I mean, the ultimate assessors are the selectmen, so if they have a problem, they should come and see us.
Yeah.
And this person's an agent for the selectmen's office. So
Sometimes you're not allowed, entrance to the property. They'll say, you can't come on the property.
All right, I was
You
just
can
curious.
for a while.
I was just curious.
Okay. May I have a motion?
One more question.
Yes.
So, you have a contract with him, so is it outlined in the contract what his amount is going to be
Right.
annually?
Right.
And,
Do we have a copy of it? No, I don't have it right with me.
that's quite all right. But is it a multi-year contract, or is it just something that
Wasn't
you...
it a 3 or 5-year contract, or?
I wasn't here when it was signed, so I
Lloyd,
don't
can you
know.
help me with that?
I have it at my desk.
The term of this agreement shall be for the period of January 1st, 2017 to December 31st, 2021.
Okay.
Page 2.
2017 to 2020.
Oh. So you don't really have a choice.
Well, we
Because
have
we're
to
an
pay this
ACA.
bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can still chat with them about the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
I move that we approve revaluation of property department 4152 in the amount of $46,372.
Second phase? Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
7-0 on that one, Karen. Thank you. This next one is a revisit. My understanding is there isn't any change in the bottom line. It was that the Board of Selectmen felt it was a good idea to break down what department was
We wanted to
spending the money.
accurately reflect where
Yeah.
the legal budget was actually being expended.
So this is we've already approved the 42,800, so this is just something we can tuck in our books, I think.
I was curious about the legal ZBA. That one went to $1,000, and I was
Right.
wondering if there's a specific piece of litigation that you had in mind.
There was last year, so that we just used that for an example of what typical year would be, but there's no litigation currently happening, although we did get.
Although there is
We had-
maybe,
we-
is my understanding.
We have,
Yeah, that's.
we have a
don't
nasty
get me
letter.
started on that.
Don't get you started
Don't
on
get me
that one,
started
well,
on
it's a
that.
maybe.
All
Okay.
right.
I'd hate to take it out, if I might say.
Well, the bottom
No, I
line
understand. I
hasn't,
was just
hasn't,
curious
bottom
why.
line hasn't changed, but we wanted to,
Right.
you know, it's not just the selectmen wallowing through legal money.
Yeah.
That they're actually other expenses.
Okay, that's it on budgets. Back to tax rate breakdown.
So we don't need to vote on this since there's no change to the bottom line?
Correct. Unless you take issue with one of the line items. Does anybody have a problem with the way it was broken down? Looks good to me. All right, let's. We were talking about our tax rate, and just when the chief came in, Karen, somebody asked about years past tax rates. 2016 was $10.43. 2015 was $10.39.
What was 16 again, Brown?
2016 was 1043, and I'll repeat, 2015 was 1039. Thank you, Karen, I'll give these back to you before I
And that's the
forget.
total tax. The
Yeah.
biggest increases happen in the school tax.
Yeah,
Town tax, we actually moderated it down to pennies with the difference.
So the breakout between the state education and the local education, has that always been about the same, or is that, did that
In the
change?
percentages?
could I see your papers there again?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I guess.
The
I'm
school
just-
board passes a budget, and
Right.
then that's disseminated to the towns, and that amounts to that portion of the tax increase. The state sends out a memo, I think, as to what the state tax is.
But local education last year was, in 2016, was 350, reading glasses. 351.
Local education is going to be fluid because it's not a static number based on the apportionment formula. Changes in student population can radically alter it, which is not so much what we've seen this year, but for example, we read the state news last week and the week before, talking about Brookfield's tax rate. Well, their student population grew by 1/3. So that's radically going to alter their contribution to the school.
So the state education that's now based on a combination of the town valuation and the number of students?
Yes.
And the state.
No, the state?
State need. The state has to calculate its need based on the number of students. And then it's hard to get DRA to send anybody out to explain how they come up with their calculation of making that number. But it's premised upon the state need and then our portion of that state need.
And but they come up with that based on purely on the number of students?
In New Hampshire, right? That's my understanding.
Yes. And then they assess based on the property values of the towns. So
It
consequently, Holmesboro, Tuftonboro.
So it's a combination of the two?
No, we're talking,
No,
we're
no,
just
no.
talking the state funds. We're not talking about the local portion.
Yeah.
This is just the state funds. This is based on a court decision that goes back
And what did they come up with?
more than 25 years ago.
$3,300 is a basic education
Yes.
cost, and then they multiply that times the number of students in the state, and then they figure out who's gonna pay it by the property value. So it has no real bearing on the number of students we have here in Tufton.
Absolutely none whatsoever. More on the quote unquote, on the ability to pay of the best property-rich towns in the state. Property-rich, property values.
But it does help, for me anyway, to have it in chart form and have a perspective of,
We've
okay,
always-
what we're doing around the table is 25%.
We've always been with that 22 to 25, and we've been up at 28% on, and it's always been within that range, or at least for the last 10 years that I can remember.
And unfortunately, the legislature will never try to revisit that to see if that is fair.
There's more receiving towns than billing towns.
Yeah.
And this is a nice segue then into my next topic, House Bill 1452, that I was going to ask Gordon Chip to speak to us about. I personally don't see it going anywhere, but I think it's something, I mean, people have mentioned things to me, so I thought I'd talk with all of you about it.
Well,
Did it make it out of committee? I didn't hear that it had.
no, not yet.
No. No.
Everybody here is familiar with the funding formula for the school district? Okay, 75, 25, average student. Okay. Well, if this bill was to go through, it would change not just the Governor Wentworth apportionment formula, but every co-op within the state of New Hampshire formula to go 100% based on property value. And that would be a very hard pill for towns like Wolfboro and Tuftonboro, New London, New Hampshire, because you look at Kearsarge, which has a very similar breakdown as to quote-unquote property-rich towns, and then as well-off towns, right on down on the whole cooperative school district corridor in the state. I spoke to the selectmen about this. I do refer to this as the 7-year locust plan because about every 7 to 10 years, this comes back up. Maybe I've yet to remember a movement at the state level. I've seen movements within the Governor Wentworth school district level over the years. This is the first time I've seen it go into to be legislated at the state level.
And if, did Chandler get back in as speaker? Because the reason I ask is that if you look at the dynamic in the SAU up in Conway, if this were to pass, Bartlett would pay the lion's share of the school costs, and they don't have anywhere near the lion's share of students. And I can't imagine that the selectman from Bartlett, who's may or may not be the Speaker of the House, is going to buy that program.
As I said, I agree with Carl. I don't give a whole heck of a lot of chance of passing because it's such a radical change.
Yeah. The exact same bill failed in committee last year.
Yeah.
Well, the unfortunate thing is our local representatives signed on.
Well, I think if you like to write, we could send a note to Cordelia. Anybody else?
Well, he's kind of backtracked on it, hasn't he?
He has.
He's been.
I've not spoken to him personally, but people I have spoken to who he has been in contact with when Max just raises his hand. He is trying to backpedal off this as quickly as possibly can.
At least that's the information I got.
What's interesting, the representative from Brookfield told Brookfield people when he was asked, wait a minute, I'm new to the legislature, it's my job to listen. The other thing is I represent half of the other districts in the school district. I need to think this through, so I was very impressed. His name is Bill Marsh.
Okay. Well, thank you. The last bit of correspondence I did get from Karen is just, I know we haven't worked on personnel administration yet, and we don't share names, but I thought it was, I included in your packet just how many of what plan type for health insurance the town would be looking at. 3 individual, 2 two-person plans, and 9 family plans. But we'll talk about that a little more when we review that budget.
The selectmen did vote on Monday.
Okay, we'll move into your Selectmen's
On the,
update, that's next up.
health insurance
Okay.
plan, we had decided to go with Anthem. It is a gross savings of
On the sheet here.
Savings of
$77,965.51.
represents a nice savings.
Yeah.
It was. However, in order to make it work, we discussed how we're gonna handle the HRA, the health reimbursement account for each employee, because one of our employees did the math. That person's out-of-pocket expenses, had we gone to the plan last year, although the cost of the plan is less, the deductibles and everything are higher, it would have caused an out-of-pocket expense increase of 60% from $2,344 to $3,915. So the discussion we had on Monday was the employer contribution to the HRA, and the math that worked out, although I had come up with one number, Bill Marcussen came up with a different number, and that's the one we voted on and agreed to. I don't know if you guys want to work on that now, or do you want to?
Well,
it actually ends up for a net savings to the town of $22,500 year to year. So a portion of that savings that we get from a reduced premium, but an increased out-of-pocket cost, was put back into the health reimbursement accounts of the employees. So the long and the short of it is we're paying less for health insurance, but not $77,000 less. We're paying about $22,000 less, $22,500.
Is HRA ends at the end of the year, or is it like an HSA where if we fund it, it rolls forward if they don't use it, kind of thing?
No, it all comes back to the employer at the end of the year. It doesn't roll forward. Even the FSA that we've got structured rolls back into the towns.
So if they don't use all of that, it comes back, so there'd be more savings.
Right.
That number was 22,500.
500. And I'm sure we'll review this when we get that budget.
You will. And
thank you, Chip, for working on that.
I didn't want to lose the 22,500 to the road agent completely, so
Okay.
we'll keep working on that too.
You know, as long as we had moved ahead to new business, and I'm going to bump you out of the way in a minute, Helen. That's fine. Do you have any other updates for us? We have a little list here of the budgets we're still waiting on. I don't know if you've covered those or where you are with them.
What is that word?
Buildings.
Okay, so that would be Jack. Oh, no, town buildings?
Town building.
Other government buildings?
So we're going to bring these budgets forward on, the insurance is done, but we're not going to.
Okay, both
Both
the liability you've
the
done,
workers' comp, and
you've done,
the health insurance.
okay, because some of them are easy, like
Right,
animal
but
control.
we haven't gotten all of them into us yet, and
Financial
our direction.
admin.
Sorry?
Excuse me, I apologize.
No,
Sorry,
what's
I'm
that?
sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted.
No, you're fine.
I was going to say financial admin was done, that's what I think. I don't mean to
Okay.
jump in, sorry.
So our direction to the staff was to have all the budgets to us by the next selectmen's meeting, if they can, and no later than the 12th of December,
Okay,
so that we can concentrate on
if we have to revisit or.
or, and at some point in time, we're gonna have to look at warrant articles.
We didn't do health agencies yet either, did
And we haven't yet either, the charitable giving.
No, we didn't. 4415 is health agency.
So Diane hopes to have those ready for the selectmen on the 4th. So hopefully Diane's going to have some, like the buildings, the
Right.
health agencies and so forth,
we? Okay,
done on the 4th.
we're going right along. Do you have anything else for us, Chip?
No.
Okay. Helen, CIP and graph updates.
Okay, on the CIP, we would like to meet with the Board of Selectmen and present our report on the 12th of December.
And that's meeting with us as well, correct? Presenting to us?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's to the Budget Committee, to the Budget Committee
Okay. And that will be up at the
at the town.
house.
That's on the 12th?
The 12th of December, which is a scheduled meeting
Yeah.
for us. And we have a first pass at the report, which I'm working on at home. As far as the drafts, right now we have we're still missing 26% of the income, or of the budget amounts. And if I drop in last year's budget numbers for the ones that are missing, we're still coming in at we will be coming in at about 7% over last year's actual spending, because if you look at the graph, it's got actuals for the past 4 years, 5 years, and the budget for the year for next year, for 2018. So if I look at kind of how much you have been spending of the budget every year, it extrapolates that we'd be coming in probably about $240,000 more than our 2017 spending, which would be about a 7% increase.
And that's based on projected spending for 17?
Yeah, I kind of eyeballed what percent of the budget got spent every year for the last
Now, where was this
5 years, and
when we're thinking 3% or like a little over 114,000 or 115,000 over
that would
last
be
year's
over last
budget.
year's budget. But if you look at the graph, I drop in the actual numbers for spending for 2017, which I don't have yet, and won't have for a while.
The operating budget plus the warrant articles, or just the operating?
Just the operating budget.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Does anybody else have
I just
anything they
didn't
want
want
to?
people to be surprised when the budget comes in looking higher than last year.
I won't be.
Okay.
Well, last year there were some surprised faces around the table,
There
some
were.
shocked faces,
Yeah.
and it's like,
We got to kind of keep track of it.
you know, have been approving things over last year's budget all along. How can you expect that it's not going to be over budget?
Okay. Yes.
Have there been any things that have been removed from the capital capacity?
What do you mean removed from the capital capacity?
They've been taken off the table because they're not needed? For example, the $230,000 grant for radios, for the radio antenna?
For next year, you mean?
Yes?
Yes, actually, we're slightly over, but right about capital capacity for 2018.
And Clay Gallagher got the $30,000 Time Warner cable deducted down
That's
to
not in there.
$6,000, but that was a
Now it's an
capital.
operating budget.
But that was a capital,
It's no longer in the capital projects.
and also the
Additional highway money.
The highway number stayed flat till last year.
Okay.
and the boat ramp at Narrow Lake was under 10,000. That was removed from capital capacity.
I can't remember that off the top of my head. Sorry.
The state had it at $40-some-odd thousand, and Jeff's going to do it for under 10. There was a warrant article that was voted on.
If you'd like, Well, next time we have a meeting, I'll bring a copy of where we are.
And speaking of that, I'm going to move on to our next meeting date, unless anyone else has anything budget-related they want to talk about. No? Okay. We are scheduled on November 28th. Kara, this might be a good question for you. Does it look like we are going to have...
We have financial admin, workers' comp there, that insurance, that Primex, workers' comp and casualty or something.
enough for a meeting, or shall we move it all to December
And planning.
12th?
So all we would have for you is financial admin, planning and insurance. So it'll be super duper quick.
What say you folks? Would you like to skip the November 28th meeting and cover all of it December 12th? But keep in mind that's our presentation of CIP as well.
It doesn't appear that it would add that much to the 12th to...
Yeah, but your deadline for all of the things was the 12th, so we might have a bunch more.
9. Well, we're looking at 9 plus if
Yeah.
Jim comes back, we'll have 10 budgets.
Yeah, so we'll get the 12th, you'd have a whole more.
I'd
lot
have-
more. Yeah,
We'd have
that's
a
right.
whole bunch.
I'd
Yeah.
have,
Well,
but
we
no
could
appointments really.
We could always add another meeting after the 12th. We could, or, let's see, what's the one after? There's,
Christmas, the day after Christmas. I'll see you here.
January 2nd, we have one planned.
Oh, the calendar doesn't go that
In fact, we have one for the 2nd of January, the 16th, and also February 6th. I think we're looking pretty good if we wanted to skip it.
So if we get overloaded on the 12th, we can always skip something forward into January and not be in trouble.
No, I don't think so. Is that all right with everyone, or John?
Sure.
Is that, because I know you were worried about wanting to have things done as quickly as we can, but these just aren't ready for us yet.
Sure.
Okay.
12th is good for me.
All right, December 12th will be our next meeting. Do I have any public input? Max?
I just wanted to provide some more information that I have, which is not all of the information, but about that bill for apportioning school money. And I don't know if that's going to go anywhere because I can't find that bill in bill form. It's still in LSR form, which is like the pre-bill form. And I had emailed Ed Comeau, the sponsor, about it, and also Glenn. And Glenn told me that he hadn't read the text yet, and Ed separately also said, yeah, Glenn hasn't read the bill yet and probably is going to withdraw his name.
Okay.
So, and I was just now looking to see if I could find it in actual bill form on the general court website, and I couldn't find it. So I know that the bill number 1452 is Paul from Oldenboro had put that out, but that bill number doesn't exist right now, so.
Okay.
I don't know why that is. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. I'm not impugning anybody, but
Okay.
I don't think it exists right now. So at the moment, I don't think it's anything to.
Okay. Thank you, Max.
It's
Anyone
out there in
else?
the ether.
Yeah.
Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So
please?
moved.
Second.
Okay, we've got Bob and Guy on that. All in favor?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everyone.
I guess we can all vote on one.
Hope somebody gives you the bird.
You got it.
Has anybody seen the video? I mean, the funniest video I've seen. The parents are trying to, are goofing on their teenage children. They bring the turkey out, okay? And they reach in, and they pull out a Cornish game hen, and they tell them, oh, this one must have been pregnant. I'm watching these teenagers.
I haven't seen it. It sounds good though. I gotta find that
I
one.
thought to myself, why didn't I think of that?
That would have been perfect.
Jill probably would have been.
Well, you can still do it
the
as a
Well, that's true, yeah.
Makes it a little bit more fun, then you go home.
It was funny to watch a couple of teenage girls, when they were growing up, breaking egg and fun, you know, fertilized. Yeah, that was good.
Oh, well,
Hey, yeah. Hey, no doubt, no doubt. You too, buddy.
sorry about that, I laughed.
I found that.
Don't ever do that
I
again.
didn't want to do
Nice
it.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
In my mind, I had it in my mouth open.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too. Bye now.
Whoops, I'm
I'm gonna just squeeze by here.
Just go
Didn't
right
wanna catch it
ahead.
in the chest.
That's always a good thing. Great.
Thanks for filling us in on that.
Have a good night.
Yeah, that's.
Diane, sometimes you get
I did, yes, I will read that before bed.
That's true, and like the, yeah,
One of
good
the
point, and the
footnotes
that thing you said is a fee for facilitating the
We vote
HRA,
on
right?
a warrant article that buys something on time. The next year, that becomes part of the operating budget.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yes, it
But
is.
there is no other way
I
accounting-wise to
I
handle it.
can't see how we could do it any, there are bills to pay, we have to cut them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, let's go for it.
Yes, sir.
I finished the new e-child book I was gonna put back in the library. Do you wanna read it?
Oh, yeah,
Because that's still 2 weeks out. It's a free one.
I'll take it.
That way,
Do you have it with you?
of course.
All right.
Just make sure she returns it so you don't get the, you don't have to.
I hate to, believe me, I put my money in the late fee.
Marianne, our Marianne. What's your last name?
What?
Yeah, your fellow trustee.
Marianne.
Murph. I did that with her. I had a book and I was like, oh, you want to read it? And she said, sure. And then she didn't return it for like 3 weeks.
Have a
Oh
great
my
night.
gosh.
And they called me.
You too. Thank you. I hope your little guy continues to feel better.
Oh, well, thank you.